have our devices set up, we'll make sure we hand those out to everyone who needs them.
Understanding that, does that mean, do we have to do anything differently? I mean, pause or?
Speak slowly to allow effective interpretation. Everyone from the public, anyone who's on the committee, staff, especially me, I'm the fastest talker, so I won't be talking much, but just speak slowly to allow effective interpretation. Okay, and I think we're ready to go ahead and start.
We will call the meeting of the Police Advisory and Accountability Committee to order. It is, I don't know if we need to record it tonight, it's 6:15 instead of 6 p.m. Welcome to this regular meeting. I asked Lieutenant Everly to please call the roll so we can see who's present.
Thank you, Chair Kamina. I'll request the roll. Member Alm.
Present.
Member Alvarez. Member Davidi.
Present.
Member Nguyen.
Present.
Member Ruiz.
Listen.
Vice Chair Tokolahi.
Present.
Chair Kamina.
Present.
Member Locks.
Here.
Member Valdez.
Present. Thank you very much.
We need interpretation, I think.
Right.
Pablo, can you hear us?
Are you getting feedback that yes, it was done or no, it wasn't done?
We're working on it. Yeah.
Lieutenant Everly will let us know when we can proceed.
We did.
Oh, we talk?
Yeah.
Hey, public, oh yeah, I hear you.
Are you there, Pablo?
Yes, sir.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna hang up the phone. All right, guys.
Pablo, were you able to capture the roll call and everything that was stated that needed to be interpreted into Spanish?
Yes, miss. I can start now.
Thank you so much.
Bueno, lo siento por las dificultades técnicas. My apologies for the technical difficulties. Aquí vamos. Bienvenidos a la reunión del Comité de Contabilidad y Advisoría del Departamento de Policías, aquí presencialmente. Día miércoles 17 de enero 2024, ya son las 6:19. Le pasamos el micrófono al teniente Everly que pasara lista de los atendientes. Entonces llamaron lista de miembro Alm, miembro Álvarez, miembro Davidi, miembro Nguyen, miembro Ruiz, vicepresidente Tokolahi, presidente Kamena, miembros alternativos Locks y alternativo Valdez.
I think this evening, Scott, you're gonna tell, Lieutenant Admiral, you're gonna tell us that the meeting's being recorded and give us the information
Yes,
and ask for, advise that public comment is at the end of the meeting.
I will do. Thank you. Thank you, Chair Camina. Before we begin, we would like to announce that tonight's meeting will include Spanish language consecutive interpretation provided by qualified interpreters on this channel. If watching on Zoom, you can join us. Sorry, changed. If you are attending in person and don't have access to the Zoom meeting, you will hear the Spanish interpretation over the loudspeaker. If we do get this fixed, you will be able to access the device on the table right here and listen in Spanish. As a reminder, we ask that everyone participating tonight speak slowly to allow our interpreters to effectively express your comments. Pablo, go ahead.
Ujú. Otra vez, antes de comenzar, nos gustaría anunciar que la reunión de esta noche estará disponible incluyendo interpretación consecutiva en español proveída por intérpretes calificados aquí, en voz alta, por la bocina. Ha cambiado la situación. En adelante, si se confirma que pueden usar el dispositivo, lo anunciarán, pero por el momento todo será consecutivo. Como recordatorio, queremos pedirles a todos los participantes de esta noche que hablen despacio y permitan que nuestros intérpretes efectivamente expresen sus comentarios.
This meeting tonight is being recorded, and members of the public watch online or listen by phone by calling 669-444-9171 using the meeting ID 898-5264-7245#. Go ahead, Pablo.
Sí, esta reunión ha sido grabada y miembros del público pueden verla en línea o escuchar por teléfono llamando el 669-444-9171 o usando el número de identificación de esta reunión, que sería el 898-5264-7245, siguiendo con el símbolo de número.
There will be an opportunity for public comment for those participating in person. Each person will have 2 minutes to provide their comments. We invite each of you to introduce yourselves by name before presenting your comments. We are also offering closed captioning for this evening's meeting on Zoom. Select the live transcript button on Zoom to enable this feature.
También tendrán la oportunidad de aportar comentario público para aquellos que están participando en persona. Cada persona se le aportará 2 minutos para proponer su comentario. Les invitamos a cada uno de ustedes que se introduzcan a sí mismos antes de presentar su comentario.
It seems like now would be the time to consider the minutes from the meeting of December 20th, 2023. Is he going to translate? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get the flow.
Oh, go ahead, Pablo, you
Yeah.
translate.
Sorry.
Pablo, can you hear me?
Ahora vamos a aprobar las minutos de la última reunión.
So, do the committee members have any questions about the minutes?
¿Alguno de los miembros del comité tiene preguntas de las minutas?
Point of order,
Yes.
usually it's stated,
I'm sorry, could you speak up a little bit? Don't take it, you don't have to do that.
usually it's stated, Madam Chair. You're asking if there's a motion to approve the minutes.
No, I'm not. I'm asking, I have a
No, I'm
question.
speaking to Madam Chair.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if there's someone who wants to make a motion, yes. Is there a second? Yes, then discussion.
Bueno, usualmente se tendría que hacer una moción para aprobar las minutos.
I understand that that's
Discussion.
usually new procedure. The city has set forth a format that they use at city council meeting, which is why I'm following that. Okay,
Este es
Exacto.
usualmente el procedimiento que se usa, el formato que se ha colocado en lugar para las reuniones de los concejales municipales de la ciudad. Y por eso lo repaso de esa manera.
but I have no problem asking if there's a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a motion? To approve the minutes?
To approve. I'd like to my
Is there-
clarifying question answered
Well,
before. I make
Chair,
a-
Chair Camina?
Yes,
I'm sorry, if I could just interject. The way that we work is the chair will invite the committee to ask any questions first about the minutes. And then we'll answer those questions if need be. And then the chair will invite the public to talk if they want to have any public comment about the minutes. And then if not, then the chair will request a motion and a second.
Bueno, si pudiese interrumpir por un momento, la manera que usualmente se hace es se propone la pregunta, si alguien tiene preguntas acerca de las minutas. Luego se le pasa a la moción de aprobación y un segundo voto. Luego los comentarios.
one way or the other, the same work is gonna get done in whatever order it happens to come in, and we're trying to accomplish this, so we're gonna table them, we hear your motion, but we're going to wait and we're gonna ask if there are any questions from the committee at this time regarding the minutes. And Member Alm, I understand you have a question.
I'm prepared to move forward. I just do want to clarify, also present in city staff. I noted that city clerk Laura was not noted. I would ask that it be added if it's possible. You did administer our oath and you did participate in the discussions and everything that happened. Yeah,
So you're suggesting that the minutes be amended
with the
to,
addition of city clerk Laura, well, she's gonna respond. So I'm sure there's logic. I just want to understand it.
Pablo, would you like to interpret first?
Bueno, se está platicando de la manera que debiese hacer esta reunión, ¿verdad? Quieren tener clarificaciones que la señora secretaria municipal no se registró en la lista de atendientes de esta reunión y se quisiera clarificar.
So with the minutes, it'll be the key staff will be also present, so city manager, assistant city manager, police chief, Scott, Lieutenant Everly also actually had included my name. I removed my name because I was a presenting staff. So you're gonna see lots of staff come and give presentations and they'll be in the minutes, but they won't be in the also present section.
Understood.
Thank you.
Bueno, entonces
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Forgot the interpretation.
Bueno, entonces con las minutas, ¿verdad? Va a estar bien. El personal también van a estar presente. Entonces, por ejemplo, el administrador de la ciudad, el jefe de policías, todos van a estar nombrados en las minutas, pero tal vez no se van a nombrar en los atendientes de la reunión. Pero entonces en las minutas va a estar incluido mi nombre, pero aquí, de los atendientes de la reunión, no.
answer your question?
It does.
Okay.
We can move forward. I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. But first, we're gonna ask if there's any public comment about the minutes.
Primero van a preguntar si hay comentarios públicos de las minutas.
Yes, ma'am? Susan, it is.
My name is Susan,
Yes.
and my comment is that I do appreciate that a question is asked if the public would have a comment. And
Thank you. Thank you. Any
it's
other?
important to include the public.
Absolutely. Please translate.
Y sí, mi comentario sería y decir gracias.
Any other comment from the public about the minutes? Yes, sir.
Otros comentarios del público de las minutas. Adelante, señor.
Yo Solo pido de que la traducción sea muy preciso, porque yo creo que mucha gente de habla hispana están escuchándonos y yo veo que hay un poco de falta de coordinación en lo que estoy viendo ahorita. Gracias.
I just ask that the interpretation be precise. From what I can tell, there are several people listening in that speak Spanish, and I'm noticing there's some lack of coordination. So I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
I said it's not about the minutes, but I appreciate your comment. Thank you.
Aunque no se trate de los minutos, está bien, le agradezco su comentario.
So I see no other public comments being offered on the minutes. So we'll close public comment time for the minutes. And now is the time we need a motion to approve the minutes.
Bueno, ahora estamos notando que no hay comentarios más acerca de las minutas, así que ahora vamos a colocar una noción para aprobar.
So Member Alm is making the motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second? So now Lieutenant Everly is going to call the roll on whether the minute, discussion. Is there any more discussion from the members?
Ahora el teniente Everly va a pasar.
So if I may, unless staff wants to answer it, the minutes that were provided to you from the last meeting record what was done at the meeting. And in order to make those official minutes, the members of the group have to agree that this is indeed what happened. So if you had the opportunity to read the minutes and you think they're correct, then it would be logical for you to say, I vote to approve. If you see that there's something wrong in the minutes, then you would not agree to approve the minutes. Does that help?
Y en la manera que funcionaría esto para aprobar los minutos es, los minutos mencionan qué es lo que se ha platicado durante la última reunión. Y para ser oficialmente, o llamarlos oficiales, los minutos tienen que ser aprobados por todos. Si están de acuerdo con lo que se ha dicho la reunión pasada, o sea, han tenido el tiempo de leer esos minutos, pueden aprobar. Pero si están de acuerdo, desacuerdo con algo, no voten o estén desacuerdo.
So there being a motion and a second of the motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of December 20th, 2023. Lieutenant Everly, would you take the roll?
Seconded.
Fatai made the motion and Daniel, Member Alm.
Member Alm?
Approved.
Member Alvarez?
Approved.
Member Davidi? Member Nguyen? Member Ruiz?
Approved.
Vice Chair Tokolahi? Chair Kamina?
Approved. Thank you.
La noción inicial se hizo por mí y el segundo voto, o la segunda noción se hizo por Daniel. Así que ahora el teniente Everly va a pasar lista para votar sí o no. Votaron miembros Alm, votaron miembros Álvarez, miembro Davidi, miembro Nguyen, miembro Ruiz, vicepresidente Tocalai y vicepresidente, o lo siento, presidente Kamena. Votaron sí.
The next item on the agenda is feedback on the draft bylaws. And yes. Ms. Member Alm.
The agenda item as presented to be approved by the body. And then we go forward with each of the agenda items. I don't know how to script it, but I wanted to raise that issue.
Because of the feedback, could you repeat what you said? I apologize.
I don't know how you're scripted.
I'm just following you.
I know. But after the approval of the minutes, there's usually approval of the agenda. And, no, the agenda, which includes the items, the staff report, the community reports, and so forth. And than the open time for. So that is the agenda that's put before us, and usually the body approves the agenda. And I'm hearing a different process. And I'm wondering if we all need to be educated on this process, because I'm having a lot of uncomfortableness with, my brain is going like wacko with how this is being done.
Bueno, usualmente después de haber aprobado los minutos, se debiese aprobar la agenda y los asuntos de cuales se van a estar platicando durante esta agenda, después del reporte y luego informe de la comunidad. Entonces, yo estoy oyendo un proceso diferente y creo que todos tal vez debemos tener un poco más de educación con esto, porque yo me empiezo a sentir algo incómoda, inconfortable en la manera que está corriendo todo esto. Mi cabeza me hace bolas.
Thank you for your
My comments are offered as a way of being more efficient in moving forward through our process, and I'm feeling a lot of time being consumed, that we might be able to be more efficient in thinking about how we want to conduct our meetings.
Well, thank you for your comment.
Y estoy ofreciendo mi comentario de una manera de poder ser más eficientes en este proceso. Solamente eso quiero decir, comentar que tal vez podemos ser un poco más eficientes con este proceso.
So, the next item on the agenda is the feedback on the draft bylaws. My thought is to have each member of the committee give their thoughts, and in the measure of time, I think each person should have about 3 minutes to speak. Once we go through that, then we can have a discussion. But those are my thoughts, and I see a hand again. Yes.
Bueno, próximamente se debiesen discutir las leyes o la publicación de las leyes en prueba de la reunión pasada. Creo que durante este tiempo cada miembro presente del comité debe dar su comentario de lo que piensan de estas leyes que se han publicado. Creo que todos hay que aportar 3 minutos. Después continuamos con la discusión.
Sorry. Member Locks, before a staff gives a presentation, we also have our city attorney who's present as well, who can providing some
My
comments.
apologies.
And that will happen. I think there's going to be time for discussion, I believe, with your question after staff's presentation.
Okay, so we'll just proceed then. So, thank you.
Well, so I don't get to make my statement now?
About the bylaws? If you want to start,
I would like to make a recommendation.
I was gonna go around the table.
Chair Kamina,
Yes.
I'd like to make my recommendation.
I think you'd be able to make your recommendation, but I think the city manager is gonna say something, and then the city attorney is gonna say something, to hopefully clear up some of your confusion, and then there will be, right after that, then there'll be time for you to make your recommendation.
My apologies, So here's our city attorney right there on Zoom.
I think, good evening, Chair Kamina and members of the committee. I can tell you from my perch, I have a beautiful clear view of the back of my dear friend Steve Bingham's head, and I can't see. Hey, Steve. No, you're not in my way. Hi. But I can't see any of you very well because you're all the way on the other side of the room, which is fine. I do think that the city manager had some introductory remarks, and then my time's somewhat limited this evening, so I'm prepared to offer my remarks following city manager. I think that's the order we had discussed at staff level.
Thank you.
Buenas noches por acá. Sí, lo siento. Buenas noches. Bueno, de aquí, de mi punto de vista, creo que puedo ver muy claramente la cabeza de mi compañero por acá, ¿verdad? Pero no está en mi camino, no se mueva, está bien ahí donde está. Entonces, tengo mi tiempo algo limitado esta noche y creo que la administradora de la ciudad ya ha hecho sus remarcas introductorias, ¿verdad? Pero ya estoy yo preparado aquí de hacer mis declaraciones, después siguiendo la administradora de la ciudad.
Mr. Epstein, would you like to proceed?
I think the city manager.
The city manager is going to proceed. I'm
La palabra sigue la administradora de la ciudad.
Go ahead, Rob.
Okay, I'll go ahead and proceed. I do, before I speak briefly about the Brown Act, want to comment on the questions that were raised about agenda and just comment on that for a moment and talk about sort of the history of practice at City Hall. And I do think agenda setting, particularly for a new body like this, is something that can evolve over time. Over the years at the city council level, I can tell you that.
Rob?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. We need to do the interpretation, so you're gonna need to talk for like a minute
Got
and
it.
then.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. We're gonna remind you gently.
Bien, lo siento por las interrupciones, ¿verdad? Pero aquí adelante. Entonces, sí, creo que los comentarios que se han dado hasta ahorita, todo va muy bien. Simplemente brevemente quiero que platiquemos acerca del acto Brown y los comentarios acerca de la agenda que se han propuesto. Y comentar solamente por un momento, ¿verdad? De la historia, de la práctica que tenemos con esto en el centro de la ciudad. Y particularmente con un cuerpo nuevo como este que tenemos presente, esto puede evolucionar con tiempo. Y por los años, yo les puedo explicar la manera que se ha hecho con el ayuntamiento. Rob.
I will slow down. So what I was about to say is that the city council periodically, I think the last time was about 10 years ago, has a discussion on this topic, which I call, what are we going to talk about and who gets to decide?
Entonces, lo que yo iba a decir es cómo se hace en el ayuntamiento. Periódicamente, y creo que la última vez fue como hace 10 años atrás, tuvimos una discusión acerca de este mismo asunto. Sí, yo me recuerdo bien.
The practice of the city council is that the agenda is set by the mayor in consultation with the city manager's office. And then at the meetings, there's an opportunity for council members to request items to be added to a future agenda.
Y la práctica de los concejales es que la agenda se pone en lugar por el alcalde en consultación con la oficina de la administradora de la ciudad. Y de allí, durante las reuniones, tienen la oportunidad los miembros o los concejales de pedir que ciertos asuntos se agreguen en las agendas en el futuro.
And the practice has been, if a council member wants to have an item put on the agenda, that council member simply needs one other member to agree, and then it's going to be put on a future agenda.
Y la práctica ha sido que si un miembro del ayuntamiento quiere que se agregue un asunto a la agenda, para ponerlo a la agenda, simplemente otro miembro del concejal o de este grupo tendría que estar de acuerdo de colocar en la agenda. Y de esa manera puede aparecer en una agenda en el futuro.
And in my experience, that process has worked pretty smoothly. My suggestion for this body, as it discusses its bylaws and procedures, is that this question of how the agenda is going to be managed, if you will, simply be another item for your discussion.
Y en mis experiencias, el proceso ha funcionado muy bien. Mi sugerencia con esto es que este cuerpo, después de discutir las leyes y sus procedimientos,
With a brand new body, there are bound to be growing pains.
y con un cuerpo nuevo vamos a tener dolores de crecimiento.
So I want to turn now to briefly speak about the Brown Act, which Assistant City Attorney Coyle already provided training to you about, I believe, at your last meeting.
Entonces quiero ahora volver y platicar un poco brevemente acerca del Brown Act o el Acto Brown, por cual el asistente abogado ya ha platicado con ustedes, el asistente Coyle, durante la última reunión.
A question's been raised about the potential of circulating comments regarding an agenda item that are comments from a member of the committee to the committee prior to the meeting to increase the efficiency of the meeting.
Y la pregunta que se ha llevado a cabo es la potencial de circular comentarios acerca de la reunión y los asuntos dentro de esta reunión, y que un miembro del comité ha hecho comentarios acerca de esta reunión antes de esta reunión.
And I agree that it would increase efficiency. However, it would be unlawful to do so under the Brown Act, which was not designed to promote efficiency, but rather open government, and that the deliberations of legislative bodies occur entirely in public.
Y estoy de acuerdo que aumentaría la eficiencia, aún así no fuera siguiendo las leyes. Y para hacerlo y seguir las leyes del Brown Act no fue diseñado para promover eficiencia, pero mejor para que los cuerpos gubernamentales puedan deliberar enteramente frente al público solamente.
This body, which was appointed by the city council, is a legislative body under the Brown Act and must adhere to all the requirements of the Brown Act.
Este cuerpo, cual fue apuntado por los concejales municipales de la ciudad, es un cuerpo legislativo bajo el Acto Brown, y debe adherir a los requisitos mencionados por el Acto Brown.
Communication to and among the members of the committee prior to an agendized meeting is limited, as I will describe.
Comunicaciones dentro o con los miembros del comité o por el comité antes de hacer agendada una reunión no se puede hacer. Y voy a describir qué significa esto.
First, the staff is required to circulate the agenda and any staff reports for the agendized item 72 hours prior to the meeting.
Primeramente, los personales están requeridos en circular la agenda y los asuntos dentro de esta agenda no menos de 72 horas antes de la reunión.
In addition, any public comment received, typically via email, by the city prior to the meeting, the city clerk circulates to the members of the body.
Adicionalmente, comentarios del público que se hayan recibido, usualmente se reciben por correo electrónico, se circulan con el grupo del comité por la secretaria y se publican.
This way, for example, city council members have the opportunity to read emails that are received from the community regarding items on a city council meeting agenda before the meeting.
De esta manera, por ejemplo, los concejales de la ciudad tienen la oportunidad de leer estos correos electrónicos que se han recibido de parte de la comunidad al respecto de los asuntos dentro de la reunión municipal.
And the same opportunity exists for this body, where if members of the community offer written comments before the meeting, the clerk will endeavor to circulate those to all of you.
Y la misma oportunidad existe con este cuerpo, donde si se recibe comentarios de la comunidad escritos antes de la reunión, la secretaria llevará ese trabajo de circular esos comentarios a todos ustedes.
However, comments from members of this body regarding agendized items must not be circulated to members of the committee prior to the meeting.
Eso dicho, comentarios de miembros de este comité no se pueden circular si son asuntos agendados antes de la reunión.
This is because the Brown Act forbids any potential of the collection of a consensus or deliberation outside of the meeting, which is what would occur if a member's comments on an agendized item were circulated to the body prior to the meeting.
Y esto sería porque el Acto Brown prohíbe cualquier tipo de potencial de la colección o que lleguen a un consenso o que puedan deliberar fuera de la reunión. Eso es lo que sucedería si un miembro comenta acerca de un asunto que ya esté en la agenda sin circular.
So, like I said, it can be frustrating and feel inefficient because members work hard to prepare for the meeting, reading the materials, thinking about the materials, making notes on the materials, but they must wait to deliver their comments on the agendized materials until the meeting.
Entonces, como le había dicho, puede ser un poco frustrante y algo ineficiente porque los miembros trabajan muy arduosamente para prepararse para esta reunión, leyendo y repasando los materiales, pensando acerca de los materiales y haciendo notas de los materiales. Ellos tienen que esperar para deliberar cualquier comentario que esté dentro de la agenda y sus materiales hasta el tiempo de la reunión.
There's one opportunity in addition to this, where a member could, of this 7-person committee with 2 alternates, speak to one other member about agendized items prior to the meeting.
Pero sí existe una oportunidad, en adición a esto, donde un miembro lo podríase hacer, y este comité conviene de 7 miembros y 2 alternativos que puedan hablar uno al otro.
I don't advise to engage in this practice because of the risk that it creates for a serial meeting.
Y no recomiendo que enganchen en esta práctica porque esto crea un riesgo de una reunión serial.
But it's technically permissible under the Brown Act for one of the members of the committee to, for example, call up a fellow member prior to the meeting and say, hey, I want to talk about the stuff on the agenda.
Pero técnicamente es algo permisible bajo el Acto Brown que uno de los miembros del comité, digamos, por ejemplo, llame a otro miembro antes de la reunión y decir, sabes, quiero platicar acerca de algunos de los asuntos bajo esta reunión.
And because that's conversation with just one person would not involve a majority of the body, it would technically be permissible under the Brown Act.
Y porque esta conversación técnicamente fue con solo una otra persona, no involucra la mayoría de este cuerpo, técnicamente es permisible bajo el Acto Brown.
Indeed, because you're a 7-person body, theoretically, 3 of you could talk together about an agendized item prior to the meeting.
Y cierto, porque son 7 de ustedes bajo este cuerpo, teóricamente pueden hablar hasta 3 personas juntos acerca de asuntos agendados antes de la reunión.
But I advise against these practices because they contain substantial risk for any decisions that might be made at the meeting, and I can explain why.
Pero yo aviso contra este tipo de prácticas porque pueden contener un riesgo sustancial de cualquier decisión que se debe o se puede tomar en la reunión. Y les puedo explicar por qué.
The first problem is that you can't control what other people do. So if one of you were to talk to one of your fellow members of the body, you don't know whether that person is going to go talk to another person.
El primer problema sería, es que usted no puede controlar lo que va a hacer la otra persona. O sea, si ustedes fuesen a platicar con un otro miembro del comité, de este cuerpo, no saben que esa persona no va a platicar a otro.
And I was so impressed with all of the qualifications and interests of the people on this committee. I don't wish to imply anything other than the best intent for all of you. But these kind of violations of the Brown Act often, typically, when they occur, are inadvertent and unintentional.
Y yo estuve muy impresionado con las calificaciones y los intereses de las personas de este comité. Y yo no deseo implicar nada más del mejor intento de todos ustedes con esto. Pero este tipo de violaciones del acto Brown muchas de las veces típicamente ocurren inadvertidamente y inintencionales.
And if you add a third person, as I suggested, technically could be possible in a pre-meeting conversation. It just increases the, that's my dog, excuse me, excuse him. That increases the possibility of a violation, which is why at most I would hope that people would only talk to one fellow member prior to a meeting. But again, my advice would be to not do it at all.
Y si usted agrega, digamos, a una tercera persona, porque técnicamente se puede agregar una tercera persona en esta plática, antes de tener la conversación de la reunión, eso aumenta los riesgos. Oh, lo siento, ese fue mi perro, perdónenlo. Eso aumenta la posibilidad de tener más violaciones. Y por eso yo a lo más esperaría que si van a hablar con otra persona, hablen con solo una más, otro miembro antes de la reunión. Pero mejor les aviso que no lo hagan.
A second problem with this practice is the possibility that not all the members show up at a meeting. And then if you're left with, say, 5 people and 3 of them have spoken with one another prior to the meeting, now a majority of the members present have had a pre-meeting discussion about the item.
Y el segundo problema que se llega a la luz con esto, con esta práctica, es la posibilidad de que no todos los miembros pueden llegar a las reuniones. Entonces, digamos que queden 5 personas, 3 de ustedes ya han platicado antes de la reunión acerca de los asuntos dentro de la reunión. Ahora la mayoría que está presente ya han platicado, han tenido una pre-reunión y discusión acerca de los asuntos.
But because the Brown Act is challenging to live under, I wanted to tell you about this to give you some sense of what the boundaries are of the possibilities to operate lawfully under the Act.
Pero porque el acto Brown es algo dificultoso vivir bajo él, yo les quería decir esto, darles un sentido de los límites y de las posibilidades de poder operar bajo la ley con este acto Brown.
So this has been a very short discussion, and I want to encourage each of you, if you would like to discuss these matters with me in more detail, I would be more than glad to find time to meet with you, have a cup of coffee on 4th Street, do my best to answer your questions. Steve and I've done that several times in the past, and I've enjoyed those opportunities. So each and any of you, now that you're on this committee, are part of the city that I represent. And my job is to try to help you with following the law, which can often be challenging and difficult to understand and to act under. The risks with the Brown Act are many. Violation of the act can lead to potential civil and criminal liabilities. So it's serious stuff.
Entonces, esto ha sido una discusión bien breve y yo les urjo a cada uno de ustedes, si quieren tener más discusión acerca de esta materia, comuníquese conmigo para tener más detalle. A mí me encantaría encontrar el tiempo para reunirnos, tal vez tener una tacita de café en la cuarta, y yo haré mi mejor en contestar todas sus preguntas. Steve y yo hemos hecho esto varias veces en el pasado y he disfrutado las oportunidades cada vez. Así que cada uno de ustedes, ya que están y son parte de este comité y representan a la misma ciudad que yo represento, es mi trabajo ayudarles a ustedes en seguir las leyes que de vez en cuando pueden ser dificultosas en seguir y para entender el acto Brown y los riesgos que convienen dentro de este acto, que son menos, o lo siento, que son varios, y a las violaciones que pueden llegar a tener.
So if you would like to discuss further, please don't hesitate to contact me, rob.epstein@cityofsanderfeld.org.
Entonces, si ustedes quisieran discutir más a profundo, por favor, no se preocupen en contactarme. rob.epstein City of San Rafael.
So I appreciate the opportunity to address you all this evening. I hope I covered the items that staff was suggesting I discuss. Scott, was there anything else that you wanted me to talk about at this time?
Bueno,
No,
les,
that was. Sorry, Pablo.
bueno, les agradezco la oportunidad de poder platicar con todos ustedes esta noche y espero que haya yo cubierto los asuntos que me habían sugerido que discutiera. Ahora, Scott, ¿hay algo más que quisiera que yo hablara a este tiempo?
That was excellent. Thank you so much. That's it.
Well, thank
Excelente.
you, and thanks to all the members of the committee for your service to the city.
Bueno, excelente. Entonces, muchas gracias y gracias a todos los miembros de este comité por su servicio a nuestra ciudad.
Good night.
Buenas noches.
My understanding is that we have a request, requesting a motion for a 10-minute break. At
Mi
this time.
entendimiento es que estamos pidiendo una noción para tomar un descanso de 10 minutos a este tiempo.
5-minute break, but I need a motion if someone would like to do that.
Necesitamos un descanso, pero para hacerlo necesitamos una noción. ¿Alguien le gustaría proponer noción de descanso?
There was a technical issue that
Yes.
Scott
We
needs a
need a
break.
motion.
I need a motion to take a 5-minute break.
We don't need a motion. We can.
Oh,
Okay.
you can work with it?
Yeah.
Do you want us to wait?
5-minute break.
5-minute break.
5-minute break.
5-minute break.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry.
Bueno, tuvieron unas dificultades técnicas, así que van a tomar un descanso de 5 minutos.
Did you see the break? Thank you for being here. It's wonderful. It's really good. Yeah.
It's up there. It's not just like- If you can hear me, can you? Yeah.
The microphone right there.
It should be this one.
I know, but there's too much background talk. No one can hear anyone for that.
Tanya, if you can hear me, can you talk on the Spanish channel? You'll have to unmute yourself. No, that one's unmuted. Tanya, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you on the schedule.
Okay, perfect, we're good. We fixed it.
Yeah. Wait, Tanya, I'm over here. I have you on my, I'm wearing a equipment and I'm gonna pass them out right now. I can hear you on the schedule.
I know.
Okay, give me 1 second.
It's only the problem. Pablo, do you want to try the main channel and unmute yourself and talk?
Trying the main channel.
All right, perfect. We're good.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, Tanya. Hey, back into the session.
Does anyone need equipment?
So there won't be. It was not for me too. Oh my gosh.
Tanya, quick test. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Whenever I mind you.
No, so everything's passed out.
Yeah, we're,
I'm gonna talk for about 5
Right, I know that.
yeah, I know it's,
Right.
and once the meeting starts, it'll be quiet again.
Okay. I just want to make sure. That's right.
No, so we got our equipment to work now. So you're gonna be interpreting everything simultaneously into Spanish. Okay.
Do you have one? I have one. Somebody gave it to me when I graduated from law school. They didn't quite have the concept that didn't gavel.
And if you need someone to slow down, you can hit that raise hand button. And if you raise your hand, then I'll announce for everyone to slow down.
He came to get me. Oh, the chief.
Yeah,
Do we need the chief?
that should be on the cheat sheet, but yes. Perfect. Okay, we're gonna be starting here back up in a couple minutes. And then, Pablo, just so you know, you're gonna be, if anyone makes comments in Spanish, you'll have to interpret those into English on the, English channel, okay?
Roger that.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
We're gonna call Oh my gosh, they're in the train.
Thank you, man. Your last name.
I
Oh, you-
don't really copies the agenda, that's we did it last time, we didn't.
Yeah.
No, just the agenda, you didn't print. We don't have any additional copies of stuff, we just printed the agenda.
Yes, I'm ready. It may be, yeah, I didn't.
Would you like?
Is the agenda on the table? Angela?
Agenda is out. Oh, we have the agenda, we just need the staff report.
Oh,
Yeah, the staff.
It's
Oh,
in the
we
binder.
generally print just the agendas
Yeah.
for meetings, we don't print packages for the public.
Oh, gosh.
So
But it's in their mind.
it's in their binders, yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, we're good.
Nice to see you.
Okay. Well, you make some not this branch. We'll bring it over.
Are we ready to resume?
She's gonna get you.
No.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We now have the Spanish translation up and running. For those of you that want to, that are listening from home, you can check on the Spanish, press the Spanish button and listen in Spanish simultaneously while we speak. I will hand you back over to Chair Camino.
We can hear you too, like here, like really loud. Here, not like you are present here in Zoom.
Is there?
I don't know.
It's not good.
Yeah, it should be like a lower volume English.
Thank you.
Give your
Do
volume.
you want to say something and see if it's better now?
How about now? Can you hear me? Is it still bad?
We don't want to hear you that last time.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. We'll get it fixed. If we want to start.
Yeah, we can start.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's call the meeting back in order. During the break, the city clerk distributed copies of the June 5th, 2023 staff report that was the resolution establishing this PAC committee in English and Spanish. And you have pause. Oh, good. Oh, just to let you know, the background that's going on is Spanish translation is now acceptable. Here. Okay, so we're gonna ask City Manager Aldich to please make a statement to us.
Thank you very much, Chair Camina. I just want to start by saying that, appreciating everyone for being here, appreciating your grace and patience and empathy as we work on figuring out some of this process stuff. The city attorney Epstein mentioned it as growing pains, and there's a lot to learn about all this process stuff, and we're learning together, and thank you for your patience. And the technology, which sometimes is a blessing and sometimes makes things more difficult, but we've got it going now. So I wanted to give a little context and background that I thought might be helpful to the bylaws discussion for all of you as you're providing your feedback to staff tonight. So back in June of 2023, the City Council adopted a resolution. It's in the handout that you have. And the members of the public have it too. It's Resolution 15-25. And I'm just going to read a couple things from you because I think they're important excerpts, and then you can use the document as reference tonight. So it says, we use the official language. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the San Rafael City Council as follows. The City of San Rafael Police Advisory and Accountability Committee, is hereby established as an advisory committee to the City Council to improve public transparency and accountability, respect to the San Rafael Police Department, and to provide greater community participation in making recommendations on police department policies, practices, and procedures. So that's the kind of the broad brush of we're establishing the committee to do these things. This is kind of the purpose. And then in the staff report, it highlights broadly, slower, sorry.
Excuse me. It's kind of, we're trying to.
Do you need
Do you have
a
a question?
clarification on where we are? You got it?
Sure.
No problem, no problem.
I'm just trying, okay, thank you, please proceed.
The staff report states that, and this is the other thing I wanted to say about this is the first time we're ever doing this sort of co-creation process. The city council directed staff to that night on June 5th, establish the committee, do a recruitment process for all of you, select, form the committee, and then say the bylaws, the details of this committee we want to do together. That is challenging. It's a new way of doing things, and it's intended to allow all of you to give us this really important feedback and be really inclusive about this process. So what the staff report recommended was that the advisory role of the committee would be to act as, there's three things it highlights: act as a sounding board for the city council, for the city manager and the police department regarding community needs and concerns, as well as providing community feedback to propose police programs and priorities. The second is to make recommendations to the city council regarding police policy, procedures, and best practices, including those related to community relations, hiring, and training best practices. And also to provide a report, and it says at least annually, to the full city council, and that would be at a city council meeting and at a public meeting, regarding the activities of the committee and the Santa Rafael Police Department's efforts to strengthen community police relations and the progress made toward improving upon the 5 key themes of community feedback. So the origin of this committee that came forward, those 5 key themes that are in that staff report, we did these community forums where we heard from many community members about what their primary concerns were and what they really wanted to see for accountability and more public participation. So I just wanted to give you that framework as we move into the discussion. So as you're sharing your thoughts and feedback to the staff, we're really eager to hear that, but I want to just clarify that we're not asking for you to vote or approve the bylaws. Sometimes we'll bring a staff report to you that says we're making a recommendation for you to approve something, and then there'll be a call for a vote. This process tonight is merely for us to sit here and listen to everything that you have to say and take that in. And so there's no like formal action in these staff reports that we're asking of the committee tonight. So from a process perspective, I just trying to be helpful and clarifying that there will be times for that, and we'll try to be really explicit about that. And then there are times that it's like, we really need to hear your input and feedback. So that's one of those nights. So Angela's going to speak briefly about present the staff report to you and do a little more detail on process, and then we'll get to it.
All right. So good evening, committee members. Name's Angela Robinson Pignon, and I'm one of your staff liaisons to the Police Advisory and Accountability Committee. And so as you recall, the draft bylaws were first presented on the December 20th meeting of the PAC, and the item was continued by the committee to allow,
Please.
oh, thank you, to allow additional time to review the bylaws and prepare feedback to city staff. The staff's recommendation, which is to receive your feedback, has not changed from the last meeting. In preparing the draft bylaws, staff sought to align the committee's purpose with Resolution 15225, which the city manager passed out to you, adopted by the city council, and the 5 public safety themes brought forward by the community. Slow down, thank you. Community during the extensive community engagement conducted in 2022 and 2023. As noted by the city manager, we'll take notes during this meeting and incorporate your feedback into a report to the city council on February 5th. Staff is looking for areas and themes where the committee has reached a consensus, and we will highlight those areas when we present the matter to the city council. Additionally, we are looking for alignment with the June 5th, 2023 council resolution. At the February 5th meeting, the city council will consider a resolution to establish the bylaws for the PAC. And we encourage members of the committee to attend the council meeting where the bylaws will be discussed. So lastly, I want to thank everyone for committing to volunteering to participate in this newly established committee. I also want to apologize for the technical difficulties that we had earlier. Just want to queue up, at least for the next item. As you will see in the work plan, there is much work that lies ahead, given your scope and your charge as envisioned by the council. And my colleague Lieutenant Everly and I look forward to working with each of you as this committee evolves and over the next several months. So that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. I do want to note that in addition to the June 5th report and resolution, you do have, and I understand that the chair is going to go through and ask the committee members for their comments, a copy in English and in Spanish of Member Locke's red line versions of the bylaws. And so just want to note what that is that you have before you. The other thing, tying it back to the city attorney's comments, the bylaws, the red line bylaws by Member Locke's were not distributed before the meeting because of this comments that he made about having deliberation outside of a public setting. So you're receiving them now, and they're also being posted on the website as well, so that the community has the ability to see them. And we also provided copies in English and in Spanish to those who are present at the meeting in this room. So just want to note that that's the other item that you have on your table or in your body.
Thank you so much, both city manager and Angela. Since we just have received member Locke's red line bylaws, do we want to take time to actually read it and review what she is suggesting so that we can have a healthy discussion?
That would be staff's recommendation that we take some pause.
So
Maybe 5 to 10 minutes for
Just a-
everybody to review.
So member Alvarez is suggesting that we all read it together so that we understand what we're taking. Okay, so you want someone to
Can I
read
make
it
a,
out?
can I make a suggestion about that, just a process suggestion?
Sure.
So what we're suggesting is everyone, since you've just gotten a copy of it and you may have not had time to read through it yet, maybe you have, but give everybody a minute to read through it on their own. Then each one of you is gonna get to provide your comments. So Member Locke's will get to speak to her comments and then you can have a discussion about it. Does that what you're trying to, so you can ask questions, there'll be an
Yes.
opportunity for that.
Yes. Move on.
What? What I was going to suggest at the beginning about the agenda, we have an item A and an item B. My thought is that we might want to consider item B first, because there's some information there and we need to make a decision. And then do item A, which is gonna take longer and would allow people to have maybe more than 15 minutes to actually read the document, to process and think about and give, you know, what do I want to say? Proper or thoughtful comments so that we can have real discourse about the document that I did try to provide to everybody. And it's a suggested document. And in all of my writings, I said it was a suggested document. So I take some concern that we did not have the opportunity to have you read it before this minute. Because I think bylaws, I'm giving you time to catch up. I feel bylaws require thinking. And what it means today and what it means maybe next year. You know, is it fluid? Is it what we want to do? You know, discourse, we need to have discussion.
If I may.
Yeah.
I think because it's so important
Yeah.
that we need to have it now. I'm gonna keep it on the agenda as it is,
Okay.
but we're going to take the time to read it.
Yeah.
And I think people understand that bylaws are a living, moving document, so I totally respect what you are saying. And I don't think anybody here is not going to consider what you suggested. So,
You mean changing it?
no, in terms
Oh.
of reading what your suggested bylaws. So why don't we take the time to read it now? Each of us, as much time as people feel they need. I would think 5 or 10 minutes would be sufficient because it's not that long. Hopefully, everybody's already read the draft bylaws that were provided by the city. So it shouldn't take that long. So I'm thinking, so you'll give us some.
We'll do a
to-
time check.
Yeah, so let's do that now. So everybody have at it and start reading.
You would have. There's 2 things.
Madam Chair,
It wasn't a question.
Sorry, yes.
there was a question. Does everyone understand about the line out and the red?
Oh, I'm sorry. So if we can, just for a moment, do you want to explain it? Because
Okay.
I'm familiar with it, but I think it's your document, so if you explain it, that would be nice.
Okay, a question came up as to what the lines mean and the red means. Okay, when you're correcting, legally making changes to a document, you leave in, can you hear me? Okay. No, no Spanish. No Spanish.
Can you hear the Spanish?
Maybe he's taking a break because we said we were on break.
Oh.
We were on-
Okay. Okay, so the black is what was there. If there's a line to it, it's what I'm replacing, and the red is what is being replaced or added. That's all. Somebody asked me.
Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah.
This is nice.
So I'm trying to toggle
Oh, that's all? That would be, that would be it. Yes, thank you. Still working. 2 more minutes. No, I had that. Okay. Are we all ready?
Yes.
Do you feel you've had enough time?
Yeah.
Yes. This one is the quick that we have seen before.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just to let you know, for the interpreter, we're going to have to take a 5-minute break. I'm advised every 30 minutes for the interpreter, according to Lieutenant Everly. Is that correct?
Correct.
Do
And
you want to explain that or?
I don't need to, go any further, just, they also requested that we just try to, speak one at a time.
Thank you, and more slowly. I'm probably second to you. So, okay, so hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to read the draft bylaws that were submitted by staff and the, I call it the red line document submitted by member Locks. Now would be the time for us to discuss, not to discuss, but for each of us to give our opinion on what information the staff should bring back to the city council. So I'm going to actually do this in alphabetical order. So member do you want to shoot? I think if we take about 3 minutes each, that should, if we feel like we need more time, we can certainly do that. But why don't we start out with 3 minutes? And tell us what you think about both documents or your suggestions, please.
My comment, I think I just have some generalized comments, Chair.
Sure.
I have a better understanding now of the bylaws, and I think a lot of my questions in the past meeting were very scope of service. And what I'm reading in the red line document is honestly a lot of scope of service stuff. I feel concerned that we're going outside of our resolution, and the city staff have drafted us a bylaws that are really sticking to that resolution. And I'm afraid of us putting in an effort of work product that the city council is going to ultimately reject.
Anything else?
That's all I would have to say.
Member Alvarez, would you like to tell us what you think?
Sure, Camilla?
Yes.
Sorry, now would be the time for questions
Oh.
related to bylaws, any questions of staff,
Apologies.
on process, and then comments will take place, and any deliberations will only happen after the public has provided comments, so you can hear their testimony as well when you incorporate that into your comments.
I have a question. Again? No.
Always.
Always. Well, yes.
I have a question. I want to know that everybody received the documents that I sent in my cover letter.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And had that opportunity. Okay,
Oh,
thank
really?
you. That's it.
Okay. So if I understand, we were having comments related, I'm just gonna go into the next person. Correct? Okay. We're gonna get this,
Let me provide a
we're gonna get this
clarification.
eventually.
We're gonna do questions.
Yes.
Of each member in
Right.
alpha order. So,
Yes.
member
Got it.
Holmes, do you have any questions of staff about the staff report?
Oh.
For each person on the committee, do they have a question for staff? Yes or no? If you do have a question, we're
Got
gonna.
it. My apologies.
Then we're gonna go to public comment,
Okay,
and then we're gonna go to
to-
each person to give their input.
we will all learn together.
We will, we are
So-
learning.
Do you have any questions of staff? Member
No, I don't.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the general question is, do any of you, and I'll call on you alphabetically, have any questions of staff about the documents, the bylaws? So, member Alvarez. No. Member Davide.
Yes, thank you, Chair Kamina. To me, a good board is diverse in opinion, background, and it's vocal. And above all, is action oriented. I feel that we need to have a realistic bylaws where they're doable and we're able to realistically execute them. I feel like we're here to build and regain trust. And for me, in order to gain trust, sometimes you have to give initial trust and not question every single line. I feel the more we question and come from a suspicious place, the more we put the other side possibly, I don't want to speak from defensive or create distance. It's not us versus them, it's bringing them with us. Joining, building bridge. I feel if we go on an obsessive path, we build fatigue possibly, lose sight on the big picture. I feel we need to put on an image or an expectation or a promise that we're going to be able to keep. That's something that you're able to execute. We don't have a criminal justice background. We're regular law-abiding citizens. So that's kind of like the place that I want to enter these bylaws. And I've never been on a board that didn't have an approved bylaws, so I'm not sure how we're functioning. but it's nice to get to a point where we can kind of move forward, but.
So thank you. I appreciate your opinion. And actually, do you have any questions of staff about the bylaws?
I don't think so.
Okay. Member Nguyen, do you have any, not your opinion right now, but do you have any questions of staff about the documents?
No.
Okay. Member Ruiz, do you have any questions of staff? About the
Not right
documents?
now, I need
Okay.
to read more.
Okay. And Vice Chair? How to pronounce your last name?
You get it.
I'll get it. Okay, no questions. I have no questions of staff. And Aldermember Locke, do you have any questions of staff at this time about the documents?
About the document.
Yeah,
No, I do not.
Okay, and alternate member Valdez? No question. Okay. Now, we have any public comments or questions about of the staff of the documents?
Yes, we do.
Okay. And my understanding is it's 2 minutes. So we don't have that wonderful clock that was in the city.
We
hall.
do, look, it's on the screen.
Oh, we do. Oh,
I'm a little cold, sorry, I'm in my.
oh, welcome.
Good evening,
Good
members of this new committee. I'm Stephen Bingham. I live in Terra Linda. And I'm very thankful that you all have taken the opportunity to give your time to serve on this board. I do want to say, as one of the people that was involved at the very beginning, this whole effort grew out of the meeting with Julio Lopez that you're all aware of. And the phrase that most
Mr. Bingham,
exemplifies.
Mr. Bingham, I'm sorry, I'll pause the timer. The translator can't understand you. Let's move you a little bit closer.
The microphone. Is it because the microphone
This
is
is the
right here? Right here. Or they're both mics. It needs to be.
I'm sorry about that.
Oh, we're-
I'll start the whole time all over.
So I'll start all over.
If you don't mind.
Can you hear me now, translator?
Yes.
Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Stephen Bingham from Terra Linda, San Rafael, and thank everyone for serving the city in this capacity. I was involved in the effort that led to the creation of this advisory body as a result of the meeting with Julio Lopez that you're all familiar with. And the single thing that came out of that for all of us was that there's a police culture that we need to address. It's not simply a nuts and bolts thing of more police in this community, or more police doing something specific. It's the culture that all police departments have, and that new people coming into it short. And the idea of this committee was that there would be a body that would review in depth what the police department is doing and provide advice and review of certain things that they are doing to help the police department. And I commend the chief for being open to this whole initiative of, and I'm speaking specifically to support what look to some like expanded bylaws, but in fact, more accurately allow this committee to fulfill its duty to really look at police culture, review reports, review things that the police have done, and not simply provide sort of advice, but to actually be able to some extent to investigate themselves on certain things that concern them in the police department.
Thank you.
So,
Your time's up, but
I
thank you for
support
your time.
the Bible.
Thank you. Is there another person from the public that would like to take 2 minutes to give us their opinion on the bylaw drafts and so forth?
Yes, Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Heidi. I was also involved in the community movement for change after the brutal beating of Julio Jimenez Lopez. That we know is not the case of bad apples. We know that the case is police culture change, and there's nothing about that in the bylaws. And so this is a process that was intended to build trust. And already we have a former chief law enforcement officer as the chair who's setting the agenda. That erodes trust with the community from the start. I think you all noticed that she was willing to rubber stamp the bylaws at the last meeting when the city promised us that this group would come together and decide what you wanted to work on and what the community needed to build trust, and that this was one of the first times that San Rafael was bringing a committee together without bylaws already decided, because your work is so important and having the voice of community is so important. And what you have before you is a draft that the city wrote. And so if we're going to change the status quo, which is comfortable for us even when it's uncomfortable, we have to do something different. This committee is meant to put your voices in it, your friends, anyone you know who's impacted negatively by the criminal legal system. Those are the voices that we want centered here. And so it's really important to change those bylaws from the status quo, because the draft they give you is what they normally do. There's no pathway for complaints. That's community led. If I'm afraid of the police, I'm not coming to this meeting through a locked door that a police officer holds open for me downstairs. No, thank you. And I'm also not going through the complaint process that's set up through the police department. I want someone who I trust, one of you who I know in my neighborhood, who I can say, I'm having a problem, help me fix something in the police department. So I hope that you'll really think about what this committee can do, the powerful change you can make to humanize. So we're trying to build trust between the residents and the police so that everyone is treated with dignity and respect, and that police see the full humanity of residents, and residents again can see the full humanity of police officers who are also residents in our community.
Thank you, Heidi, for your comments. Welcome.
Buenas noches a todos.
Buenas noches.
Is gonna be, someone's gonna be translating.
Pablo, you.
Good evening, everyone. Mhm. Yes, sir.
Entiendo que esta es una cuestión muy complejo. Es muy dificultoso para muchos todavía entender con exactitud todo el proceso.
I understand this is a complex situation, and it could be difficult for many to understand the situation.
Y esto lo digo porque realmente si la ciudad va a ser el que va a estar dirigiendo o estar alimentando a todo este comité, no sabemos exactamente si la información sería realmente a beneficio de la población.
And like it's been said, if the city is going to be directing and feeding information into this community, if it will be of benefit for the constituents in the community.
La ley es muy complicado de interpretar. Siempre se puede interpretar de una manera a beneficio del que conoce y no realmente hacer un cambio al propósito que estamos aquí ahorita.
And it could be a bit complicated to interpret, and it could be at the benefit to the people present and not necessarily.
Y esto es inquietante porque realmente queremos un cambio balanceado.
And this is important because we want a balanced change.
Y para aprenderse todas estas cosas, yo creo que hay que salirse un poco de la burbuja y siempre ver información de varios ángulos.
And I think in order for us to learn some of this, it's important for us to leave this bubble and look at the information through different angles.
Y espero de que ustedes tomen decisiones, siempre lo he dicho, a favor de mi comunidad. Gracias.
And I hope that is the case. It's something I've always said for my community. Thank you.
For your comments. Next.
Hi, my name is Jason Gerstle Park. Just want to kind of, I just want to kind of dovetail off of what Heidi was talking about in her previous comment. You know, the bylaws are undefined by design for you to work on, and public input should help define that. And I really believe that we need to be to facilitate public comment, public input, and be that conduit to advise the city appropriately. And, you know, I think that is the main goal, one of the main goals, an important goal. Public input is so important for your role, and it needs to be facilitated. And again, having had a police station with a locked door, with the elevator that's not working, where people with a disability can't get up the steps, is very, very intimidating. And it really doesn't cater to all the people that would be available to come to this meeting, because it really intimidates. It doesn't let everybody be able to join the meeting. You know, I personally asked the door woman person if the elevator was working, and she said no. So I don't know if that's just because it's restricted, or if it's actually broken. But you know, having a safe place and a public venue, I think should be in that's fully accessible, should be in your bylaws.
Thank you for your comments. I appreciate that. Is there any other comment from the public? Seeing none, we will close the time for public comment on the bylaws. Do you have any?
I'm sorry, did you
Any
ask
staff?
the people who were listening online?
They don't
I don't know that they're able to ask questions, so not at this time.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. Thank you. Does staff have any comments? Okay, so now we're going to ask for comments from the committee on the bylaws. Some of you have already done that because of my error of process, so I apologize for that. So Mr. Alm, I'm not going to ask you to do it again unless we're going to go alphabetically. If you want to make any more comments about the bylaws, feel free to have your several minutes.
I have no further comment on the bylaws. I will add, I hear the community on that. It was a discussion I had with some of the city staff on the optics of meeting here. I agree, it's not comfortable. Maybe the city staff could explain some of the reasons. I think that could be very helpful. And that was helpful for me to understand.
How about, I appreciate that. And right now, if we could just do the comments on the bylaws, and then perhaps we can answer those questions later. Is that, so we can get them?
Thank you for the redirect.
No problem. Thank you. So Member Alvarez, I'm sorry. I need pictures. Do you have any comments? Earlier you said no, but that you do now.
Does the public have access to these bylaws?
Yes.
People that are home, and can they make comments?
The bylaws draft and the red line supplied by Ms. Locks has been posted on the website. As to whether the public can make comment about that, I'm assuming they could, not right in this meeting, but I'm assuming that they can forward any concerns or questions to the city staff that would then be sent to the city council and perhaps to us.
Do you guys have any comments, like right now, about the public? Because wasn't this sent to them already?
If, you know, we can, if you want to answer the question about the building now, I think if that's your concern.
We didn't receive any public comment in writing before this meeting on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Good question. Well, wait, no, I'm asking, Ms. Alvarez is 3 minutes.
I want to comment. I have a question for the staff's response.
Go ahead.
When did the public receive it?
Receive what?
The copy of the bylaw?
The first copy of the bylaws went out in December.
No, we're talking about this
Your draft.
Same document.
It's this,
No.
it's the.
today.
Are you talking about your amended?
Yeah, they amended it
That was today.
today.
Okay.
On third of year. That was.
But it's posted now. Right, okay. So, do you, any more comments about the bylaws?
Are we gonna approve it?
The process is, right now, is we're not going to approve or not approve. We're just gonna give our own individual comments and the staff is gonna take them back to the city council.
Okay.
So if you have any comments on, let's do. Comments that you'd like to share with the staff, this would be the time. Okay, thank you. If you change your mind, let me know. Okay. Mr. Davidi, you've made comments before. Do you want to add to that?
No, I rest.
Okay. Member Nguyen, do you have any comments about the draft bylaws or the red line bylaws?
Well, what we don't have at this time.
I'm sure if people have additional thoughts that you think of later, if you email or somehow you can't talk to us about it, but you could communicate with staff any thoughts that you have at another time if you're not. But feel
Yeah,
free to-
if I have an idea.
Yes.
So far, at this time, right now, I don't have that. I can email
Yes.
the listeners or CG.
And here's our person who knows.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to correct, so we wouldn't be able to forward the thoughts of any committee members on the bylaws. It has to be held in a public meeting.
Oh, sorry.
So anything that would go to staff, we need to make sure that the public is aware of everything, that every opinion and view and thought of this committee with regard to the bylaws.
So just to clarify then, if member Nguyen has another thought, can she share it with the staff?
It wouldn't be to be incorporated in any staff report that would be going to the city
Oh,
council. So
okay.
I think right now, maybe you might not have thoughts at the moment, but as you start hearing other people's thoughts, you might start to have some as well.
Okay.
And there'll be another opportunity to circle back and discuss
Yes.
some of the things that have been brought up in discussion. But if you have anything to say about the bylaws, this is the time to do it.
Okay, thank you so much. So any more? Are you done? Okay, thank you for your time. Member Weeks.
Well, I don't have right now because it's hard for me to understand. Very hard is, well, when I try to be here, I don't think it's going to be so hard. But I am learning and I am reading, and after maybe thank you.
If you have a question later, let us know.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Vice Chair,
Yes, I do.
tell us.
I like the draft. I also like some of the amendments to it. I do want to keep the name. I don't want to change it to community advisory. I want to keep the police advisory. And there are reasons for that. Also in section 1.3, we crossed out the committee's authority is advisory only, and you add review and oversight. My idea is to keep the advice there because this is an advisory. It should say the committee's authority is to advise, review, and oversight. Just so we align with the community, with the title. And I like some of these amendments, you know, like some of the bullet points, like conducting ongoing community outreach. That's when we come to, you know, we will go out to the communities, have dialogue with them, you know, we can bring those back to us. And also like, the public will join, you know, during these meetings. So I like some of these ideas. The 5 points that I noticed some of the comments regarding the culture. And I know this is a very important one. I thought with those 5 points on number 2, increase cultural competencies. Number 2 on those 5 points. It was the original 5 points from the draft. And on the amendments, we kept those 5 points. And I thought regarding the cultural approach, if we're doing a lot of these outreach, we bring those ideas back. The number 2, increase cultural competencies. If we break that down, we're talking about a lot of stuff regarding that very important point. And I like that, you know, it's a culture, yes, like every country you go, there's a culture there. Every work organization you go into, there's certain, you know, culture. So we can change, we can make change, we can expand it, we can take this back to the communities with our outreach, because I think, and I'm with member David on this, like, we just wanted to get out. We wanted to get out to the communities and work with them, bring their voice in, instead of us kind of like sitting here wasting time on stuff that I don't, you know,
Right.
I want to go outside of this comfort zone, talk to the people outside, bring their voices in, you know. I want to speed things up. I want to move faster. We only do this meeting once a month, and we're already going to miss June and December. So that's 10. You know, I want to do a lot of stuff. I want to make things, you know, I just want to see speed it up. Look, I love these amendments. Some of it like are really good. I also like the draft, the original draft. Because I mean, like, if we look at it, the wording is just, the amendment is just explaining, you know, breaking it down more, which is great. But it's all here on the draft too, on the original draft. I think it's easier for us, you know, it makes it look like, okay, point 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, we can do this. The work, the heavy load is us taking this back outside to the communities. They are the ones we need to focus on, you know. Us going out, bring their voices in, and then put recommendations, advise the city council, you know, advise who we need to advise. That's my 5 cents.
You want to go for 10?
No, I'm good.
So I guess I'm next because I'm the next alphabet. I appreciate the recommendations that are made in the red line draft. I appreciate the fact that there are wording and expression of how we can better engage with law enforcement. I don't agree with the making this a different kind of committee than what was established by the city council. I do agree with what's been said before, that we are established as an advisory committee, not as an oversight committee to the police department. But anything that we can do, for example, when on the first page under section 1.3, the first bullet point, act as a sounding board for the community as well as the city council. I think that's that's a great thought. And I'm sure that in working with the community, we will hear things and we should feel comfortable in expressing that to the city council. I think it's very important, yes, that we become aware of what the policies are in the police department. I believe they're all on the website. I have to say I haven't read them, but I think that that's important. That's important. And that we should also, if we have any recommendations to make to the police to make things work better, that we should feel comfortable in doing it. I don't have any right now. So that's my 2 cents. Next, oh, excuse me, yes.
So, after this comment about the bylaws, I agree with him about the point that we want everything is going fast, not just sitting here and talking. We don't have a voice from the community, so we should talking about how we work out, reach out to the community. Like for example, we have like 2 or 3 people in one group to go out to the communities, every community, and collect for any idea, suggestions, or any comment from the communities about the police, or the safety, whatever happening in the community. So we collect that, and when we go to meeting, we have a wide ways idea to talk about, and then I don't know my suggestions, but I don't think that we should necessary every month because every month is just like he says, just like waste time. If we don't have anything to talk about, we just like bylaw and in general, but not very detailed, not very exactly from the community to bring in. So it's not necessary to bring like every month like that. I don't know. That's my.
Well, if I may, I appreciate that, and I think one of our next agenda item is work committees. But I think in order for us to move forward, we have to have the bylaws so that we'll know how we can conduct our work. I think that's sort of the foundation, and then I think everybody agrees we want to get moving.
Yeah.
But I think that, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Anything else? So that would be response.
To comment about the name. Is to remember the community focus and involvement. And the letter or the concept paper that came from the city used that name. And to understand that the change came because Chief Spiller needed to put forth an outline to get going. And who is he? A police officer. And that's when the police name came into play. I don't know if any of you were at that city council meeting, but one of the things that I heard clearly, and I think city manager did say that it was a working document, that this committee would develop the document, that this committee would develop itself, how it is going to actually relate, like we're saying, how we will function. And in my cover letter to these bylaws, I tried to express that, and I hope that folks did read that cover letter. I think it covered views of a view with consideration of both sides. And the fact that I was in the community, a particular community that has been affected not always positively by the police department or other law enforcement, not just, it's law enforcement, not just, you know, that did feel free to say to me with interpreters their experiences. And it's because of those reports, I'm getting emotional. Things that were said to me that I had no idea were occurring is why I will be I will hold up the beacon for them. I will be a voice for them. I will not back down from that. The city wants things to be smooth but the mayor did bring this whole thing together, saying, yes, let's do this, including a consultant who talked about the various modes or models of oversight committees. And my bylaws reflect a particular type, not the only ones, not the best one, maybe, you know, but taking in all of that information. I want you to understand that each of you have not had my experience as to how this committee evolved and the whys of it. Your understanding is from what was said as far as the application. And you did see my addition about adding 2 people and why. And why? Do you understand that? Why to add 2 additional folks? That came from that meeting on the November 18th. Because there needs to be that voice of not all of us who've had positive experiences with law enforcement, but also those who have not had positive experience with incarceration or law enforcement. And that doesn't necessarily mean they had bad relations with San Rafael police or but law enforcement as a you know, a whole unit. So that's what I wanted to say, is that I am adamant about this committee being called community, because it's from the community from which it became an entity. And I think that that's enough.
Thank you for your time and your work. I do appreciate that. Member Valdez.
I don't have any comment. The bad part about being the last. Everyone.
Thank you. Okay, well, do we want to take a 10-minute recess now to think about what we've done, or do we want to have more discussion?
It's time for.
Oh, for the interpreter break.
5 minutes.
Well, I guess that answers the question. Okay, we'll take a 5-minute interpreter break then. And if anybody has any other discussion when we come back, we can do that. Bye. See you next time.
Yeah. My
Oh, thank you.
No. Thank you.
You know, the thing that's so interesting is, with the suggestion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think it'll be great when we can get out.
Yeah, it's on the website.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, I think once we get the bylaws done.
Yeah.
And then we get the work committees started, then we can do that. And sorry.
No,
Part of it, we're just talking about, part of the education process is to have the presentation, so we put it in. I think that if we can do these work committees, that would be great. Sure. Sure, that's fine.
Yeah, that's my house. What are they gonna? They're gonna make it perfect.
What they're supposed to do, any discussion. And they will give our. I kind of get a feeling that. No, I got some of the. Oh, I'm just.
Yes.
Email goes.
Yeah.
And so. Consensus.
Yeah.
That sounds like RSP.
Maybe you might be right.
What other?
So just how.
If I run into the black out.
But this is.
Yeah, I think that's how.
Yes.
I'm sort of original, just.
Okay.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I follow the rules when I see them.
Right. Gotcha. Thank you for being here. Seriously, thank you.
Whenever you are, I'm ready.
So, my neighbor was Michelle. Go there, it's the order. And then it's Chris Barr. On the president.
Oh,
Okay.
By Macadamia.
Go through.
Yeah.
Which one? That's cool. Or.
No. No.
It's very nice, but it makes you want to stare.
Yes. That's what they're gonna see.
That's gonna do.
You must know this appropriation. You must know the story.
That's why.
That's, it's just the work planning. Committees. Within the context.
My girl still never.
So we're not doing any committee, so just like, how do you want to affect the next 50 minutes? So we can make sure that we.
I'm gonna drive you. Feel bad. I was like.
Yes, here, we're ready to start up again, I think. Oh, is the interpreter ready? And Emily, is the interpreter ready? Maybe? It's just, no, it's a little, this is my own thing. I was supposed to ask. This one. Okay, so this
Tanya, are you ready? You can talk on the Spanish channel if you're ready.
Yes.
Tanya, are you there? Are you there? Okay, we're ready.
Okay. Before we go back to the discussion of the various bylaw suggestions, I would like Lieutenant Everly to tell us about the elevator to this building, please.
Yes, this building has two elevators. And our employees were instructed downstairs, if anybody needed access to the elevator, they would escort them to the working elevator. So this building is ADA compliant, and people that need assistance getting upstairs can come upstairs.
Well, I thank you for the explanation. I don't know where the next meeting is going to be, but it's nice to know that the elevator will be available and that we're compliant. So apologies for any mishaps earlier.
Yeah, I was just updated
Okay,
when I went down there that there was another elevator. But I wasn't aware that, I don't know if she was aware of that at the time,
well,
because I was not, I asked if it was working, she said no. And then there was no other
I understand.
explanation after that.
So
there was.
anyway, I didn't mean to open inappropriately public comment, but I just thought it needed to be addressed, so thank
Thank
you.
you for addressing.
Okay, so now that we've, sorry. Question?
So, no questions, but I wanted to also, I don't want to leave the discussions on the bylaws amendments. I have one more thing to say.
Well, that's what I was just gonna ask.
Oh, okay.
So my next question was, now that we've heard everyone else's thoughts, does anyone have any additional thoughts on the bylaws they would like to share?
The only one addition and I wanted to say, I have huge respect for Salma,
Yes.
for the work that you put in. It's not easy. It's a lot of work. It's putting time and dedication and commitment to amending, these bylaws. I have mad respect for you. Culturally, yes, we always, listen to our elderlies and whatever they say, we'll do it.
Yeah,
Right?
you see that's right here.
The one thing I'm gonna stick by is the name, and this is one reason I wanted to elaborate more on. If we are gonna hone down on putting someone like, the reason why we want to call it the police accountability, because we want to hold them accountable. If, and this is just me, if we change it to community, then you try and measure the weight. Right now, the focus is on them. And if we want to change that culture, I want to stick with that name. So we make sure we change that culture. If we change it to community, then it becomes, the weight is light. Because where's the police there? You know?
SRPD, Community Accountability Advisory and Oversight. SPD, SRPD.
But it's not on the amendments. The amendments was just to change the police, you cross out police and just write community. So,
So that's at the top. Can we have a back and forth or not?
Yeah, it's fine with
Yeah.
me.
Okay. The name of this body shall be the City of San Rafael Community Advisory and Accountability Committee. But throughout the document, it is referenced as the SRPD. I mean, throughout the document. So, I hear what you're saying, but, that's what came from the community. The community wanted to have the oversight. And that was also a suggestion from the consultant that the name have the community. That was also in the document from the city that says community, the documents that I sent you.
yeah, I
Yeah.
read that.
Yeah.
I read that.
So-
And I fully understand.
Okay, okay,
I
I hear you.
I'm gonna stick with the police accountability because it weighs more. To hold them accountable, because if we want to make real change, like the public opinions on, they wanted to see, you know, cultures, hold them accountable. The only reason for me is like, if we change the name, it's gonna divert us to different routes,
How do you see that?
because
Can
it
you
doesn't
explain that a
spell
little bit more?
police.
It doesn't work?
If we change it from police accountability to community accountability, as it stated on your amendments, that's my only take on this.
I think if I may, what you're saying is the purpose of the committee is to review and hold the police accountable. And if we put community first, it makes it sound, it doesn't serve your point.
I mean, like, we are the community.
Right, I understand.
We are here as community folks doing the work.
Right.
And we want to hold them accountable. So we don't want to be here as community members, and we don't want to be going out to the communities and bring their voice in, and then coming to work for a community. Again, it's,
Can I add something? If it's a community that advises what? I mean, if you say police advisory, then it's clear, but it's a community advisory, accountability committee bylaws. It kind of leaves it blank.
Okay. Well, part of our, our job tonight is not to vote or have a motion on whether the suggested changes or the original draft are here. Our job is to give feedback to the staff so they can give that feedback to the council, and those decisions can be made by the council. And if we all show up for the meeting, I'm sure that we could make some suggestions. Does staff feel that you have enough from us at this point? Does anybody have any questions of staff or want to say anything else on the topic? Well, he raised his hand first.
I just wanted to again, thank you, Salama. I know you are really a fearless leader and vocal, and we need you in this panel. So I know it's like you're a part of that sounding voice that keeps us awake, alert. I didn't thank you. I know he did. I just want to also thank you for all this time and effort is with here, just, that's all I want to say.
Mr. Allen had his turn next.
So can I get clarification on how timeline will work then?
Yes.
Because you mentioned February 5th council meeting, they will be voting for our bylaws. So what does the timeline look like for the compiling of our comments, posting, and how is that gonna look?
So, perhaps not tonight, but following this meeting, we're going to synthesize your comments and prepare a staff report. That staff report would be posted generally the the Wednesday or Thursday before the council meeting. And so, we'll mention, of course, we'll make mention of the process that occurred here tonight in terms of that there was a meeting on the 20th and this follow-up meeting in order to solicit comment as well. And we will do our best to synthesize the comments received and to make a recommendation to council. So the staff report itself will be posted, as I said, either the Wednesday or Thursday. The clerk is not here to confirm that, the posting. And of course, we would encourage any members of the committee to attend to provide their comments or just observe the deliberations of council. Certainly, if you want to provide comments, we certainly encourage you to either you can either email your comments in advance of the meeting by email to the city clerk, or you can show up in person to provide your comments. But that would be the timeline, at least in terms of posting. So over the next week or so, we'll develop the staff report, and that goes through its own internal review process before posting the week before the meeting.
Thank you. Does that answer your question?
Just to add one thing,
Yeah.
we'd be happy to send you that packet electronically, so
Sure.
you get it as soon as it's out there. You don't have to wonder like, oh, is it up there yet or not? So we're happy to send that out.
I'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate, a lot of my comments was really probably the first meeting, and those will be included in your report then.
Absolutely.
Yes, Ms. Locks.
I received some important input, taking into what Patai, yes?
Yeah.
Patai, of what Patai said. And I would like to consider Community Advisory and Police Accountability Committee as a compromise in the naming of this body. I would like to put forth that. I feel that says both sides.
Does anybody have any comments about that suggestion?
I kind of think we're bound by the resolution forming this committee, and we would be asking city council to revise their resolution too. Is that what we're asking?
They've already revised it once.
You can revise it twice.
They can revise it as many times as they choose.
Sure, I get that. But I guess are we really being productive?
I think we were being conducted with what our committee input. That was committee input, and I think we're being productive.
Ms. Alvarez?
Now.
Okay.
I would just add it in and then, add the new change and send it in.
Sure. Why don't could you repeat it, please? Or you have the note to go in, it'll be included.
Yes.
It's now in the hands of the lieutenant.
And just want to make a point of comment that would usually be done under public comment. It's usually done.
I understand
It's
that.
not practice to have
Right.
a note passed in that manner, so just.
I understand, and I chose, because we're in such a small room, I kind of. it
No,
made it
no,
more
just, but
convenient,
just
so
saying that
generally,
that's.
that would not happen.
I thought that was pretty smooth.
It was, he's a smooth guy.
I thought that was pretty smooth.
What, he's like, who, me?
You gotta get a camouflage
Okay.
jacket. I don't know where-
Okay, so at this point, we are concluded our discussion regarding the bylaws. Unless there's any last comment? Okay. Well, now, how's the interpreter doing? Do we need a break? No, we're good, okay. So now the next item on the agenda is the development of the work plan. And just as a comment before we begin, there's the draft documents that are provided are for us to work with. I know that this committee wants to get working, and so if we have suggestions as to what should be on the next agenda, if it might be work committees, that kind of thing, please feel free to get that in tonight. So I see it, yes.
No, just noting that we have the staff report.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, we still have to.
It's attached to the packet and it's,
Yeah.
you got it? It's here. Part B. With the little graph on the back. Okay. So the first thing I should ask, back to my little list here. So we're gonna look at, looking at the title. Sorry. The, this is the resolution. I'm sorry.
It's right there, it was right on your fingers when you did
I
that.
know, is it here? Yeah, that's, oh.
Right here.
I'm really impressing you all, I'm sure, very much, thank you. So- No, this,
No, that's not.
no, that's not the one, this is,
It's in your
I
pocket,
know,
Madam Chair.
no. Sorry. Here it is,
There, you were touching it anytime.
I know. Okay. Item 2B. Item 2. Oh, no, I'm touching it. I did. I touched it. Oh, here it is. Yay. Hey, I'm so happy. Okay, so the agenda item, are you guys dying? The agenda item is the 2B. The information on the information on police advisory and accountability work plan for the next 4 months. So the recommendation is that the police advisory and accountability committee, or the committee, provide feedback for the first 4-month work plan. And secondly, prioritize targeted subject areas to concentrate on. I don't know that I have to read the background to you, but that's the topic of discussion. And the first thing we need to do is ask if there's comment.
Chair,
Lieutenant Everly is gonna.
Lieutenant Everly's gonna take it.
I could provide a very brief presentation. Just a little bit of background. Since 2022, staff has been participating in many community outreach events. And from those events, we've heard a lot from the community. We developed those 5 themes that are in your bylaws. And from those, we took 4 of them, those major concerns, the community matters of concern. And we put it here in, for you to prioritize what you think we should go over first, second, third, and fourth. Besides the community matters of concern, there's also a lot of education and training that we feel that you guys need, and we've also heard that from you, just so you guys get a basic understanding of the way police work, what laws are governing police, the policies, the procedures. So we wanted to come up with a 4-month work plan in anticipation of continuing to do so. And eventually maybe whatever you guys choose, we can do 2 6-month work plans or a 12-month work plan. Or start with the 4-month and outlined in there what we're gonna go over in training. And then it'll also give you an opportunity at each meeting to focus on what you guys have prioritized as your area of concern. So with that, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, and I'll be here if anybody has any questions about the work.
Okay. Thank you. So are there any questions? I'm gonna ask each of you. If you have any questions or comments about the work plan, Member Alm?
No.
No?
I have no question.
Member Alvarez, do you have any questions about this proposed work plan? Okay, Mr. Davidi?
No.
Okay, Ms. Meehan? Take your time.
I mean, I'll be honest, I don't have time to read before the meeting,
okay.
so right now I just read it.
So let's-
that's why I
let's-
don't have any.
Just take a look, I'll take a look at it with you. And so you're suggesting that in February, we have a police department orientation structure. So I assume Lieutenant Everly will be telling us how the police department works. And then there's also room for a matter of concern that we choose tonight. So that would be February. March, they're suggesting that we learn about the Peace Officer Bill of Rights and also the professional standards for internal affairs. Maybe that's what they're suggesting for March. In April, they're suggesting that we be educated about the requirement for approval for military equipment. And also a community matter of concern that we might choose. I take this time to tell you that I'm actually not going to be here in April. I'm happy to say, and I'm sorry to say that I'm not going to be here. So just to let you know that Mr. Fatai will be leading the meeting. And then in May, they're suggesting that we talk about use of force and what options there are, and also another matter. So I don't know if that helps you understand, and so this would be the time for you to comment what you think we should have at the next meeting. And if you agree with that, okay?
Well,
We can circle back to you if you want.
No, I just say this, because I did have a lot of material.
Yes.
I didn't have time to read before the meeting, so, I mean, I will look at that, I will read that again
Good.
after the meeting, and if I have any, comment, I will email you the videos. Yeah.
Thank you. I know we all spent a lot of time doing a lot of reading for this
Yeah,
meeting.
that's a lot.
Okay. Member Louise, do you have any
No,
comments?
I have
Okay. Vice Chair?
I know it's full, I know,
It's okay.
yeah, I know it's 4 months playing. I like the fact that we have, in pretty much all 4, we have community matter of concern. Next month, that will give us some time if we have to go back to the communities, and we only having these meetings once a month, so even in between these items of work, which I don't have any questions.
Okay.
I like it. It looks not a lot, even though we will have to get out and do some work in addition to what you guys are already doing. So, and that's one thing to think about. I'm glad that they only put 2 items in each month, because they probably know that each one of us have families. We have a job.
Yeah.
We have other commitments to the communities, and your loved ones. So I'm glad they only put 2 here. So we make sure we get something done.
Yes.
We do not want to put up 6, because trust me, we're only going to do 1 of those 6. So no, this is great. Thank you.
Okay.
In 4 months plan, since we only gonna we missed 2, we're gonna miss 2. Yeah, 4 months plan's not bad.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, you
So
may,
what,
Chief.
to Vice Chair's point, what you see here is the integration of training and onboarding that we identified as critical for this body, procedural bill of rights, those types of things, with other community items that came out of our community conversation. So it's kind of like, it's a 2-part
Exactly.
element to each of our coming meetings, and it allows us to get going.
Right.
And it's the first ripple, right? So we'll facilitate another conversation to identify what the next wave of PAC driven subject matter will be. But this is just to identify the direction for the first 4 months.
And actually, since it's my turn next, I was actually going to add, I think these suggestions are fine. And my question to the group is, in February, we can have 1 hour devoted to a matter of concern, a community matter of concern chosen by this committee. So does anyone have a suggestion as to what that second hour should be?
Chair, can I?
I'm
just
sorry.
say,
Oh,
finish with the questions and then we'll do public comment.
oh, okay. Well, that was my that was my question. But, you know, we'll all get there, right? So who's left? Is Ms. Locks? Do you have any questions? Did I skip somebody? No, no, we're going alphabetically.
Oh, okay. Because of the community input that I received, I'm wondering if we might move use of force and force options up.
Okay.
To one of the, but I was like, gonna be changing everything.
So let's.
But I feel like that, with the orientation, structure and policy, I don't know if we want it there or maybe better places with professional standards and internal affairs. But the use of force, understanding that is a community request. So it takes on some importance in us getting a good grip about that early on, rather than further. So what do you think about, yeah?
I think that was a question and I'd be happy to answer. And the reason why we have use of force in May and force options, because we want you to have that foundation that is gonna come with the training under the Police Officers Procedure Bill of Rights, professional standards, how the internal affairs work, you know, and then we'll get into the use of force and force options. It will just make more sense.
Then I would recommend it be about the military equipment to replace, to flip those. Because the military equipment,
If I could, again, just comment add to her question, and the reason why we have that there is because per law, we have to go to city council every year for AB 481, and we'll teach you all about that. But it comes right before or right after this meeting. So that's why we had to stick that, because we'd like to get your feedback and present your feedback to the city council when we give our staff report for the AB 481 military equipment.
there's always something.
It's legislated, so.
Yeah,
the
I
timing
get
of
it.
that
Thank
is
you.
legislated.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you done? Yeah. Ms. Valdez? No. No? Okay. Any comments from the public on our scheduled 4-month work plan?
Yeah.
Oh, I do. Yes, thank you, and it's almost 9, so I will be very short.
Yes, thank you.
You guys have a lot of patience, but I just wanted to suggest as a 5th bullet, their community matters of concern, is basically, and I mentioned it in my opening comments, understanding police culture. Perhaps you could bring in, there are academics who have spent a lot of time studying this issue, and it's complex, it's not easy. But I think it would be very helpful for you to have that. And also I would suggest at some point, if you think about what the police do every day, they're either in their cars or they're walking, or there's different things that involve what the police do and choices that they make to do it, which is sort of the science of policing. And I think it'd be helpful to hear more about that. I mean, I've made requests for speed radar things to be put in the community, and I've been told that there are only a dozen of those for the whole city, and just things like that. That's a choice that was made, and it doesn't sort of fit neatly into this, but I think it'd be helpful to have a presentation about sort of what it is in the mind of a police officer when he goes out there. If it's
Thank
something.
you. Thank you for your time. I know they're local experts in that area, so. Any Yes. Heidi.
For me, how's my bedtime again? So I totally understand that you want to get down to business and you're here because you care about the community and you want to do work. The foundation is really important though, and the foundation that you're being asked to put in place are the bylaws in the 4-month work plan. So I invite you to really think about what should go into that so that you're set up for that action in a way that allows you to do the community work that you want to do. And I guess I don't understand how in the staff report, the 5 bullets for themes are build trust and improve relationships with community, improve transparency, communication and accountability, increase diversity of the police workforce, increase cultural competencies, empathy and customer service, and improve the feeling of safety and security. And then on your 4-month plan, the matters of concern are recruitment and selection, law enforcement training, mental health and alternative response, and homelessness. So I think there's a big chunk of what community wanted missing from these. So maybe add something in about the accountability and rebuilding community trust. And I think it is really important around police culture. We've said that. The idea to humanize both groups in the eyes of each other, and how do police officers treat everyone with dignity and respect while maintaining officer safety, because we know that's important, that they are family members, that they want to go home at the end of the day. That's important. Like, so there's some things people might suggest that won't be safe, but we really want to have those conversations with the community. And I invite you to put those important things in at the start to give you permission for what you want to work on. I know you're going to change stuff up. And I appreciate the thoughtfulness around educating this group around military equipment so that people can go make comment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I know
Well,
these.
actually, wait, don't I have to close public comment? I have to do that
Yes.
first. Sorry, I'm learning. Is there any more?
I'm good.
Okay, so the public comment is closed. Now, I have to ask the staff if there was any response to any of the community or public comment. I don't think there was anything really to be responded to that. Okay. And now, were there any any questions from the community outside of that we have to deal with? No. Okay, now, would you like to be?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think good point from Heidi. So I know these events have been pre-selected from the city. I want us to get more into like somehow bringing community and police together. And whether that's done in something super creative, which I have some ideas, I can share now, or maybe at a time when we're open to, or I think
Well, we have number 2 is open, and we're supposed to decide what number 2 is, so go for it.
I would think, it may sound crazy, but I think it'd be nice if we had like a soccer game in the canal, where we have the police and the people from canal not compete with each other. We have like officers and the canal on the same team, like 3 police officers, 3 canal. Because I see those guys, that's their passion. I love soccer too, maybe I'm a little biased. Where we have the police play soccer with people from the canal, just an idea. Social, as a way to build community. I mean, I think some of it is nonverbal, how we do this thing, but I think we should kind of move towards, in June, something more that we bring police and the community, whether it's a food event or something.
So maybe number 2 for next month could be talking about,
I mean, if I could just, I'm sorry,
Please
Chair
help me.
Kamina. Yeah, so what the work plan outlines are the 4 most pressing community concerns that we brought forward to you. Mr. DeViti has a great idea for community relations. And I would suggest that if you want to add a community relations, you can give that feedback and say you want to substitute one of them. We're asking for you to prioritize the 4 that we have. Another option would be to, after you've done those 4, we can move to a community relations piece. But there's also nothing that stops be reaching out to our community relations department and planning, trying to coordinate some type of function as well as we do this.
Okay, so is there, now we're going to in alphabetical order, any comments from the committee regarding this? So you're up, Mr.
If, so essentially, I'm up to understand, we're gonna fill in the blank for the community and, my feedback for February and number 2, it makes sense to add a community matter of concern of recruitment and selection would go along with orientation. They seem like they go in conjunction with each other. For April, a community matter of concern. Military equipment, it seems like would really go well with training, law enforcement training. And in May, the other one, use of force. I think we need to talk about mental health and alternative responses. Those seem like they would pair well with each other. That would be my feedback.
Great suggestion. Thank you. Ms. Alvarez, do you have any? Sorry. Comments?
Which seats are we here?
I know, it's,
No.
Okay.
I really like the work plan, because personally, I don't have much experience.
Oh, good.
And I'm really interested in this one. This is great.
Good. It will be good for all of us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Nunes, do you have any suggestions about or questions of Lieutenant Everly about the work plan?
I just have, the 4 thing about community matters was, with the Santa Fe Police, mental health and alternates and stuff like that. So that means that if we have some idea about like for example, homelessness, and mental health, we just put out in the next meeting in February.
I think it's, if you're offering that as a suggestion, then that will be considered.
Yeah.
Okay, so you like it. You're suggesting that we put in February, mental health and homelessness. Under.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Chair Committee, can I, so those are two different,
Please.
those are two different things.
Yes.
Member Nguyen, were you wanting to prioritize mental health first and then homelessness?
In the February, probably the homelessness.
Homelessness is your priority, thank you.
Ms. Reeds, do you have any suggestions as to the priority of?
For February?
Or any month, I guess, actually.
I am a little confused, but I think for next month, but my question is, I have a question. This, going to be for 1 hour? The discussion or?
We'll let Lieutenant Everly answer the question.
Yeah, if I may, so,
Easily shorter.
we heard and felt from this community that the 2-ish hour is the sweet spot. So the design here is to incorporate kind of a foundational training element for an hour. And the second hour is the pressing community issue for the second hour. And that will build a structure to kind of get our muscle memory working as this body, I guess, storming, norming, forming, or whatever that is. So yeah, they're all designed to be about 2-hour meetings. Each topic is an hour with the other item, which is already kind of pre-populated. So what we're asking is, in what order do you want to see these 4 community pressing issues? February, March, April, and May.
And so my question would be in terms of when we choose, whatever order we choose them in, you'll have somebody to guide us through the process?
Yes,
Correct.
yes. We'll have a formal presentation.
Okay, so.
I think it's important that we know how the police, how the police, work
with people that are using alcohol or drugs and like how they like respond.
So do you think that would fit in with mental health and alternative response?
Yeah, I think that's like important.
Okay, so for you, that's a priority. That would be the first priority.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Where did we stop? Did you finish? Ms.
No,
Who
my
was that
priority right now.
Yeah.
For my priority not right now for me
Mhm.
is the third one, mental health.
Mental health.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have a different view on this. And I want the committee members to weigh in this idea. We're in this, it's the first one. You don't want to run into a field empty tank. Which is why I like this plan. The only thing is like, I want to flip the mental health and homelessness. I want to keep the other two. And this is the reason why. I want us to approach this slowly, build the foundation for us to be ready mentally and with tons of ideas and feedback and answers. Because when we run in head on, trying to solve something that we don't have everything, it's gonna, give you a big punch on the nose. And you don't want that. I want us to approach this in a very careful way. Build slowly, get some momentum, learn about experience, like learn more, like read more. Even tonight. Are we ready? No. Are we ready to face some questions from the public? I don't think so. So I do not want to rush into this. This is very important. I know, and this is why I like this idea, the order. Learn about the system. Do we know about the system? No. See? Mental health and homelessness is a whole new world. I'm on that field. You do not want to run in there with nothing, empty pockets. They will slap you. For goodness sake. They will pick you up and throw you outside. I want us to go into a meeting. I want us to go in somewhere to the communities, heavy, packed, know the system, know some answers to some of these, issues, especially mental health, homelessness. Like, you walk into a meeting without knowing what's the cause is, like, why are they on the street? It's beyond ridiculous if we show up as the first committee members and we don't know anything about what we've been doing. So,
I'm gonna stop you for a
yeah.
second, only because of time, if you don't mind.
Sorry.
That's okay. Of these four things, recruitment, selection, law enforcement, training, mental health, homelessness, which would you like to see first up?
No, like I said, like, I like the
You like
order.
it, but we have to pick which order the number two is.
I'll keep the recruitment first,
Okay.
law enforcement, and then just flip mental health and homelessness.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Chair Kamina,
Can
I hate to do this, we have to take a 5-minute break. for the
Okay,
for the train.
okay, transit. Sorry. Break time for the transit. 5 minutes. But although very, very well said. Absolutely. I love your term taxi.
You can't make me get like my eye thing, or I got M&M's.
I got a lot. I do. Tell you, I guess. This is my kid call it mom, where it's really handy.
Yeah.
They call it my flu. Call it my, oh, look. Which one, I handed in.
I'll say that, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
That's right. Let me know your name.
That was my last one. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, Monster, thanks so much for everything.
I think we
We were like.
the one thing you want to rub is like.
It's all good, don't worry, thank you. Yeah.
Public comment on this. Public comment there, so. You guys, Miguel and I. Yeah. And I thank you guys so much. Maybe this is first here.
Like, there's no time for it.
Yeah. So it just didn't happen. We did the statement when we get over to the cloud for some reason. But we worked out each bug, worked out, I appreciate it. We did try to keep everything forward. We're really gonna try. We started 20 minutes late. I know. To go back there. Yeah, there's issues with that too. There's issues with that too.
No.
No, it's funny, it's not cool. It's something
That's in the infrastructure here, so that we can have. Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
That can work out place. Oh, yeah. And that's it now. Okay.
Public, we're ready. So at this point, we've concluded our conversation about the order of the work program, our work plan. And the next item on the agenda would be to ask, if there's a staff, is there any reports from staff?
There are no reports from staff at this time.
Okay, and since we don't have any committees yet, I assume there are no committee reports? Is that correct? And now would be the time for open expression from the public on any topic that's not on the agenda. Great, Mr. Bingham? 2 minutes. Oh, 2 minutes. Oh, he needs to-
I got it.
Very brief, but
We have to teach him that.
it looks like it's grenade.
Yep, yellow for your neighbor's bed. You know how you yellow for your neighbor's bed? Okay, let's not go over at the last minute.
very briefly, and it's to repeat a little bit, but I just wanted to say, I just totally agree that you've got to find another space. Enough said. We're trying to get community into the space in the community we really care about. Are afraid of this space, even though this is, you know, a nice space. It's a great space. Right? And then the other thing, and you've been a great chair, and this is hard work and so forth, but I have to say, as others have before, that, and it's not a reflection on you as a person, but the position you held before as a district attorney, which is law enforcement. And it's just that what we're trying to do with this community, this committee, is to build trust, which isn't there. And I just think it's going to be infinitely harder if you remain the chair, even though it looks like you're doing a great job. So it's not personal at all. It's, you held that position before. So I hope you'll all think about that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else?
Thanks, everyone. I know it was a long meeting. I hope the translation with Pablo sounded much better tonight than at the first meeting. So yay, I think it's really important that monolingual Spanish speaking people and bilingual people who prefer communication in Spanish can participate in these meetings and get the full gist of what folks are saying. I agree about the building. I think if you're impacted negatively by the criminal legal system, that's a scary and intimidating place to come for a meeting or to share comments that you have. So I hope you all will think about a shift for that. And I also invite you for your first item in February, you might want to all hear about the work that happened in the community, like how we got here. So from the initial beating of Julio Jimenez Lopez to the release of the video before the Labor Day weekend, to the marches, to the meetings with the city, it might be helpful as you start organizing around what the community concerns are to actually hear a timeline and see a presentation about what happened. So, and Salama or other people who are involved in that could put that together. And I think it would help you all kind of be on the same page together and put all the pieces that you all know from living in the community into one big picture as a work plan. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for your time. Next.
Jason Beersel Park.
Yes, Jason Beersel Park.
Okay, so, oops, back. It's not the years, it's the mileage. All right, so, thank you all. I know it can be daunting, the first meeting, lots of hiccups and stuff like that. I just wanted, what I've got from this meeting is, you really wanted, I think you all want to take the public's voice and use it to advise. And that's important. And I also think equally important is you want to review police conduct, how they work, and hold them accountable. And I think that's, like I said, equally as important, because what you all need to do is be accountable to the public, to the community. And that's what it's all about. You want to be accountable to the community, advise the city on what you've gotten from the feedback from the community, and you also want to hold the police accountable. And so moving forward, I'm glad I've heard from all of you that that seems to be a focal point, and it really should consider, you should really keep that in the forefront. And please try to find another venue. And I mean, it really, I think it would make a lot of difference. We could really jam the airways and get more people to come and go, if it's at a city hall or even, you know, community center, you know, something like that. You know, even a town hall setting at an impacted community. do it remotely. I think those are good ideas as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. So I see no other public comments coming, so I will close the open comment time. I think we've come to the end of the meeting. Have I forgotten anything? No. Well, thank you all for your time. I love the goal.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to make one comment and regarding location.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know if you
Of a
wanted-
community center. One of the challenges we have right now with our ability to do a Zoom with the audio, we don't have that currently built into our community centers. We're working on it, but the problem is, and we've tried it before and it's failed miserably, frankly. So we definitely don't want to have that problem where people are trying to participate and listen over Zoom. It's like we're at B Street Community Center and we're in a large room. The audio, it absolutely doesn't work. So these things are really expensive and technical, and we're trying to figure out more solutions and more spaces. That was part of why this space was, because it's all the technology is built into this space. But we've heard the feedback from the committee, and we'll consider how to and the community, and we'll take that in and figure out what we can do about it.
So we'd love to see the audience back. Yes,
I have questions regarding that.
please.
Is it possible? Because I really want to hear from the public. Is it possible that we can set up like a town hall setting once every quarter? That way we can get a lot of inputs and we can invite all the publics to go there. We can record it, and we can sit there, I don't know, answer questions or just take all the feedback and, because I also wanted us to go out there and feel that, sit there and take the punch, if we a committee, I'm ready for it. I want to go and face the challenge. Set up a town hall. We can go sit there as members. We are representing them. We are their voice. And then take questions, whatever concerns, and then we record everything and then bring that back to our general.
Yeah, we can take that feedback into consideration. There are some Brown Act challenges, there's some technical legal things that we'd have to work out, but we hear what you're asking for, kind of concept, what you're interested in us exploring, so we can think about that more and come back with maybe some creative ideas about how we could do that.
Okay. I think we're done. So you need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
The chair can just adjourn.
Chair can just-
I do.
Let us be.